Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, bacon carving, pork pulling, ham hocking, and the final day for other swine-associated analogies. Red Raiders and Razorbacks in the Sweet 16.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Great to be with you, Chris, once again, citizen of the 22nd century. Interesting video coming out of San Francisco. Appreciate you letting us keep tabs with the goings on, Chris, as we are anticipating tip-off. It's Sweet 16 round action coming up for the Red Raiders as they are hooking up with the Razorbacks of Arkansas. Just about here, depending upon when you're taking this in, but if it's early morning, release-ish time, if it's the 6 a.m. hour, pace yourself. We got a little while. Another late-nighter coming up, Chris. Are you ready? You got a little practice in, I guess, a week ago.
Yeah, it's actually going to be early out here. I think I think it's a bit different for the folks back at home. Like, because it took me a bit to get adjusted to the time. I don't know if I'm fully adjusted, but bottom line is it'll kind of be a quick day for everybody here in that it's that first game, Florida and the Crab Five of Maryland. They're going to play at 4:30. And I'll definitely want to get to the arena and watch that, and so just to see what that looks like, and then obviously the Red Raiders and Hogs are it's around 7:10, something like that here local, and then we'll just kind of see what happens. It's still, I mean, got up yesterday morning and walked to Fisherman's Wharf and checked out the Golden Gate, checked out Alcatraz, all the things, and it's easy to see why people live here. I don't want to. I'm not sure I could afford to. However, it's easy on the eyes, and it's some fresh air and all that. But certainly miss home and the Chase Center where this game will take place tonight, where the Warriors play. I think the cost to build this thing was well over $1 billion with a B, and it's phenomenal. It's legit, and so yeah, looking forward to it. But yeah, the late night won't bother me a bit because it'll still be dinner time ish here, semi-adjusted already.
I mean, they're throwing a lot at you, but yeah, you're coming back, maybe even a different man, totally adjusted. Driverless vehicles, no problem with the tip time.
I mean,
I don't even know if I should ask what else you're seeing out there that we don't have back home.
Yeah, don't ask too many questions. The driverless car, it may be normal to some, and it feels fairly normal to those here, and it feels normal to me now, I guess, because I've done it 3 or 4 times. It is wild, man. I mean, we ate dinner the first night here, and I'm seeing all these things riding around. The last lady was waiting on us. I'm like, you got to explain this to me. There's this globe on the top. There's all these things spinning around it, all these cameras and everything. And she's like, yeah, there's no. And I'm like looking at it. I'm like, ain't nobody driving that thing. I don't know who's exactly in charge of driving it, an app or somebody in some control room somewhere, whatever technology. Yeah, but downloaded the thing, it rolls right up and picks you off. It's got this thing on top of it, and it gives you your initials. You get in and it tells you hello, and then it's just like watching a video game. It tells you to not forget your phone or not forget your water when you get out, and it tells me, hey, hold tight, we're going to pull over somewhere else and give you a safe place to let you out. Be careful of moving objects. I mean, and it's a Jaguar, so I don't know. It's quite bizarre, but I actually kind of liked it because I don't have to talk to because Wichita, Kansas, they were either smoking a lot of the cigarettes. The cars were just absolutely filthy. We tried to get in an Uber ride in Wichita, and there was 3 car seats in the back, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess I need to get rid of those." You're an Uber driver, you think? So in this case, I don't have to deal with any of those shenanigans. I'm just saying, San Fran is not Wichita. Wichita is not San Fran, but
Right.
away we go.
So one sounds like it's got an advantage whenever it comes to the ride sharing experience, at least just in that category.
I guess, yes.
But you were also on the waterfront in Wichita. I don't know if there's much difference between, say, the Pacific and what you were seeing. I mean, waves are waves, right? Ripples are ripples, whatever. The conversation has changed a little bit. I'm sure that's different from last week to now, and what you're hearing, maybe the urgency and kind of the intensity amped up a little bit. Obviously, the stakes higher as you get further into the tournament, and you got to listen to obviously the Red Raider contingency, but got to hear from the Razorback contingency as well. So I want to get to some things that both had to say yesterday, again, depending upon when you're listening to this. And something that also has kind of struck me in that there's been a general conversation approaching this one about some guys that are really good at basketball, yet they haven't been in a basketball uniform for either team recently. And so there's some question about, like, who's racing to get one of these guys healthy enough to contribute on Thursday night. And one of the keys that, you heard mentioned, and I'm excited about it if they'll allow it, was physicality. So I want to talk to you about how you kind of navigate those waters as a team in this tournament setting and get away with some of that physicality and maybe help that spur you on to a win. But as far as the chatter, Chris, take us any direction you want to, whether it's some of what they had to say as far as Calipari or Grant McCasland and the Red Raiders, because I know there was a lot about Darion Williams, Chance McMillian in the background there, and some roots nearby, and maybe what this could mean to them if they could both be on the floor together.
You want to go Hogs first or Red Raiders first? You tell me.
Let's start with the good guys. We'll get the bacon out of the way in a minute.
Yeah, there we go. So Texas Tech was the last. I actually watched a lot of what Coach Golden in Florida and his guys had to say. It's ironic because one of Florida's best players, and then one of the guys for Arkansas that was talking, both were at Florida Atlantic when they went to the Final Four 2 years ago, that both played for Dusty May, who's now at Michigan, and he's coaching Vlad Goldine and Amari Burnett, former Red Raiders. It's just crazy how this whole thing all meshes together. There's so many ties and everything like that. But
yeah, Chris, did you see the graphic of where each player originally started for each team? And there are many double T's there.
Yep.
Elsewhere.
Yep, that's right. And then they're in Purdue. Old Matt Painter, he got them all, kept them all. His was boring, kind of like Purdue is.
Yeah, that net was tight, man. He's got a lock on that thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. But I thought right before Texas Tech's press conference was going to start, I thought it was interesting to note that it was going to be JT Toppin, Darion Williams, and Chance McMillian had placards up there to speak. And so I thought, well, I mean, and obviously this is a young man that spent a lot of time as a kid here, and elementary, and I even think middle school here in San Francisco or just outside of it. And then I guess he's listed as originally from Viejo, if I've said that correctly, but he's a no-Cal kid. Darion Williams is a no-Cal kid, and Chance said this is the first time that I've been able to play in a basketball game since I left. Which, think about what he's saying there. First game back here for me. So and obviously his availability is what everybody was focused on from a Texas Tech side of things. It's the number 1, 2, 3, 12th top storyline, right? On his availability. I am preparing to play, he said. I'm trying to get physically and mentally prepared to play, is essentially the gist of it. Talked about being back here and how many friends and family he would have back here, being able to watch. And so there's a lot going on here with this young man. Then I watched him practice a little bit. I mean, just with what the media was allowed to see, and he shot. And you combine that with Grant McCasland saying before the team even had left for San Francisco and arriving here in the Bay Area that, hey, everybody's practicing. And again, then you get into at what level and what's the percentage? What can you actually do? So we knew that we would get semi answers here at this point, and I think that it's as hopeful as you've been since he got dinged. You're seeing him talk. You're seeing he has practiced, and again, now I guess I'm expecting to see him. I don't know why he would have practiced. He's in the open period, and so at the very minimum, he's going to have on a uniform and go through warm-ups, and then the questions become, okay, now what can you give us? what are we will lean on you for? Is it we talking starter? Is it just emergency only? Is it now that's what we'll transition to. However, to me, so much of this isn't about basketball, Callan. I think that it is a situation where if he can be in uniform and help you in any way, I just think that like it's a lift to all involved. It is a mental lift, and I think that Arkansas has also got a Du Thero that are they're dealing with him as well, and he may not be able to play a ton of minutes, but I think that this is a mental thing as much as anything, Colin.
I'm trying to think if that makes me feel better or if that's even more challenging in so many ways, because I do think in a lot of, well, again, which side do you want to go? Glass half full, glass half empty? Like, is it deflating if he's not able to really make any kind of impact, or even if he weren't to go? It kind of sounds like we're going to get the opportunity, but I'm also curious about the reintegration of Chance McMillian and not wanting obviously too much to be, on his shoulders. So how do you think, because you mentioned it in a previous episode also, the part of this that I think is interesting, in addition to just getting back out there and trying to get, say, in a shooting rhythm or whatever it might be, but the conditioning aspect of 2 weeks off the floor in this type of moment is not something to just slough off, I don't think. But what would you imagine if we just hypothetically say, okay, he's available, but what does it actually look like as far as working him back into the mix?
Yeah.
First, today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. If we just hypothetically say, okay, he's available, but what does it actually look like as far as working him back into the mix?
Yeah. Well, and he said, he goes, I strained my oblique. That's what he told the media when he was sitting up there. And so I guess what I'm saying is that I may feel better about the intangible aspect that he gives you here, which is kind of that, okay, maybe he can help, but what does it do if he's out there and playing at any level? What does it do for the rest of the team? Because he's not going to suck. I mean, he may blend in. He may not score what you need him to score, but I just think it's
but you know how it can
be
for a player like that. It's just a different kind of level. Like, oh man, he's in uniform on the floor. Let's go off for 23. How about a tomahawk? How about, it's kind of the Warren Washington thing. It's kind of like, all right, let's tap the brakes. It's great to see him back on the floor, but I shouldn't even, I don't know if that's apples to apples. Washington's timeline is much different, but
he's a lot. This is a different injury, and he's a lot. Chance is a lot better. But it's a pain tolerance thing. I think that and he kind of is saying it right there. This is I'm trying to get myself right mentally as much as physically, because people just don't understand that. They're just not around sports or whatever. Like, man, you still had practice, just throw him out there. I mean, it'd be fun. It's just not how it works at this level on this stage. There's a million things going on here. These lights are really, really bright. And I mean, I'm sitting there in these press conferences like, this is so-and-so from the Wall Street Journal. This is so-and-so from the Athletic. This is so-and-so from the Bay Area News. I mean, this is a lot going on. So you just don't just trot out there and go, give me what he can give me. So what if he hadn't practiced a lot? We just don't know how the percentage there, I guess is what I'm saying. I just will point back to any minutes, any availability is better than not, just because I think that the guys in that locker room will look around and go, We got our guy back, even if he's not really back. Even if it's not the real version of Chance McMillian. And what's interesting is Adu Thero, the leading scorer for Arkansas, before we got to San Francisco, John Calipari was quoted as saying, "Yeah, I think he's going to be able to give us 12 to 15 minutes. He's available." Well, and then a day later, in this press availability, he's like, "Yeah, he hadn't done much. If he has to give us 8 to 10 because we got foul trouble, it would be great." And he was kind of backing off of it. So. And neither guy could play. Neither guy could play well. Neither guy could factor in. But yet these are big storylines for these two teams because it's your second or third leading scorer for Texas Tech, and this is the leading scorer for Arkansas. And yet they've been able to get to this point in the NCAA tournament without these folks' help. But it's just what us media folks and what us podcasters, and this is what we talk about because these are vital parts to these teams. And we shall see. My thing is, if you're to this point on a Thursday, it's not going to get any worse, in my opinion, going toward till Saturday, assuming you're playing on Saturday. So that's what it's just. This is all improving. It's all trending in the right direction. This is what you want.
Okay, gotcha. And I would say, it's probably kind of comical how many times we've mentioned these names this week and not some of the others, but you understand.
Yeah.
You understand why. I mean, just given the fact that they may or may not have an impact at all on the ball game, I guess you'd have to think that the absence would be felt if neither one was able to go, or at least go to the extent of making an impact. But either way.
And I thought it was funny because, John Calipari kind of starts off his press conference because they went before Texas Tech, and he says, and I'm like, who's he talking about? I'm like, oh, he's talking about McMillian. But he's like, yeah, and I hear they got Chance back. So I've had to go watch film on Chance, and I'm having to rewatch all this stuff. And he's like, that's just what they needed, another shooter. So good for them. They got another shooter, and he's kind of going on and all that. So that was kind of the first, who he's talked to, why he thinks that, I don't know. But it sounds like he may in fact be right. And so it just really all points to McMillian being in uniform and doing something. The question now becomes, what is that something, and at what level is that something at?
Yeah.
We'll all find out tonight together. But I'm excited because even if he can't play much or play at all, you still are in a great spot to be able to win this game. I don't have any doubts there, even if it's just 7 guys, and that's how good your team is.
As far as what you heard the head coaches say as it relates to keys or anything else really that stood out to you, but I know when we were visiting, we were talking a lot about the physicality angle, and I'm kind of curious about that and some other things that were said. So what was it really from whether Calipari or McCaslin that you were kind of taken away when you heard those guys talk? First, today's episode brought to you by Nissan, and we're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can literally carry the whole team plus all the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada PRO-4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada PRO-4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. So take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X. Learn more today at nissanusa.com. What was it really from whether Calipari or McCaslin that you were kind of taken away when you heard those guys talk?
Yeah, and Calipari was very complimentary of Grant and Lubbock and Texas Tech and for all kinds of reasons. And there was a lot going on there. And we'll get to that in a second. But like some of the things that relates just to this game, you had the Tech contingent basically saying, we've got to be more physical. This is going to be a physical game. And there'll be an SEC arrogance and a Big 12 like chip on the shoulder thought process with both sides of this deal. That's just how this is going to go. And then I think that Calipari was very quick to say, yeah, we got past Kansas. Yes, we got past St. John's. This is a much different deal, especially for us on defense. This is a different animal. Look at all those road games that they won. They could beat you any which way that you want. And he didn't divulge too much on kind of how they would choose to defend Texas Tech or anything, but a lot of compliments paid toward Grant and this team and JT Toppin. A lot of commentary about how good of a passer that Toppin is, which again, that goes back to, okay, do they try to double? Because then he turns into a passer. Do they try to just keep him on just man to man and a solo mission there for somebody for Arkansas? We'll find out. And maybe it's a mixture. But I think that being able to guard the ball for Texas Tech's defense was something that they were talking about. Being physical, being able to guard the ball. Because what happened was against St. John's, Arkansas had that defense spread out, and they try to create one-on-one situations, and that's where it's the dribble drive offense. This is what Cal has been known for at Kentucky. This is what they excel at. They try to spread you out. It takes away help defense, and then it turns into one-on-one. So you got to be able to guard one-on-one tonight. And so that's what a lot of what Texas Tech was talking about was just like, we got to be able to guard the ball, which sounds like the most basic fundamental thing, but at times it's not. We've got to guard the ball individually, but like we literally is like we are all guarding the ball. It's all of our responsibility, not just somebody out there on the wing. It's not just his problem. No, we have got to guard the ball. I think that's what was said there. And then I think they need to continue to be unselfish, and that's what makes them so dangerous, which was kind of talked about. But yeah, pretty fascinating how many times that old Calipari has been to Lubbock and the different reasons for that, and how complimentary he has been of your fan base and your city and your program and all those things.
I was curious, the physicality angle. We hear sometimes, I guess it kind of talked about like, hey, the postseason or the tournament's not going to be called or officiated the same way as the regular season. And I feel like sometimes I hear that at least described bent toward more physicality or more things being kind of let go, which to me actually sounds like it is more similar to what you might experience in a lot of ways in the Big 12 conference. But I don't know. Because I remember talking about this last season as well, going into the tournament and kind of how that changed versus the regular season. So how do you view that dynamic and kind of for a team to navigate those waters and kind of do it smartly? Because I think for a team like Texas Tech, particularly when you're still, as far as I'm considered, so thin, say in your front court, you go from a Toppin to a Federico and even the Toppin to Federico golf is there's a gap. I'll just say that. Conference player of the year, one of those guys. You guess which one. So how do you kind of navigate doing that intelligently and, staying on the floor, staying out of the proverbial foul trouble?
Yeah, and I think more often than not, they're not going to be touchy here with the foul calls. There may be a few of those mixed in, but generally speaking, they will let you play. This is what we saw in Wichita, and it bugs me when they do decide to play the even up game or hey, okay, now we're going to call this ticky tack silliness and whatnot. But I think you have that in your favor. It's this time of year is built for guards, but it's also built for. You don't have to have a massively deep rotation necessarily, as long as the right guys are healthy and are playing and all that, because the media timeouts are longer, and they let you play a little bit. You can get away with the maybe a little bit more, because I even said that on the broadcast last week. I'm like, that would have been a foul in Big 12 play. That would have been a foul in Big 12 play, and they don't call it. They just kind of let it go, and then you've got this mixture of a crew. It's not your normal guys, so they haven't seen these coaches and players, and I think that generally speaking that they will allow a bit more, and Arkansas will be able to benefit from that as well. But I think it does help a scenario if you're a bit thinner with your rotation, or you just have a thinner rotation in general, whether it's 7 or 8 or whatever you're dealing with tonight. So yeah, and I don't want to finish this thing up before I mentioned Calipari being so. He remembered coming to the USA to see Coach Knight They had tried to, I don't know if it was make amends. I think Calipari was he was at Memphis at the time. I think he was the head coach then. And Rod Strickland was one of his lead assistants. I happened to be there at the time in the arena whenever I was like, it's Bob Knight and John Calipari walking down the hallway. That's interesting. And I thought they hated each other. Guess not. But this was years ago. And so he had been to Lubbock, and he talked about Bob Knight taking him to some Chinese food place, and he's like, Coach Knight was dipping something in all this butter. He goes, it was disgusting. And anyway, he's just telling this story. It's pretty fun yesterday. But then he was just here in Lubbock 4 or 5 years ago. When the Kentucky Wildcats came, and he complimented how rabid the fan base was, and how, what, because I think he knows what kind of program Texas Tech is, because he's talked about Coach Knight. He knows what Coach Beard had built, and now look at what Grant's doing. So I think that he's kind of seen these different eras, and we're talking about a dude here, man. This guy in this particular game that will be played tonight, he's 12-4 all time. He's been to 16 Sweet 16s, and he's been to 12 Elite Eights. So he's won this game 12 times. That's pretty impressive. He's also like the fifth or sixth most NCAA tournament wins of all time. And so, yeah, you're dealing with a really good coach. And so when he says nice things about your program and your city and whatever, I think it's because he's seen it all, different leagues and everything like that. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that we mention that. Having said that, I hope the Red Raiders in the Cinderella store that is the Arkansas Razorbacks this evening.
So you're saying he's only got 7 more Sweet 16 appearances individually than Tech does as a program. I just wanted to make sure I was hearing that correctly. Not too shabby.
That's what I'm saying.
I do kind of feel like, though, I latched onto something there. Sounds like maybe there was a still simmering and deep-seated beef between Coach Knight and John Calipari, because you come to Lubbock and they take you for Chinese food, Asian buffet. That's an assault, actually. So we may want to revisit that in another episode and review what that actually meant, because I don't know about that, Chris.
Yeah, it would have been some. I guarantee you that Coach Knight had a guy that you and I both knew of and were fond of, and Corky Oglesby, I'm sure was along for the ride and knew every hole in the wall there was. And I don't know whether that was like Gilbert's, or I was trying to think of some of the different places that would have been spinning Chinese food way back in the day. And I'm like, why didn't you take him to Taco Village or Durango's or one of those?
Any of our
I don't
fine
know.
steakhouses. I mean, just
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, that too. So,
we
and
are
buttery.
world renowned for our Asian cuisine in the 806. That is true, but I'm just a little surprised by it.
Yeah, that's right. I know it was his story. I was like, I wanted to go. Can I ask a follow up? What exactly? Where did you go? Where did he take you? But anyway, we didn't get that far.
Hey, can I ask you before we get out of here? Back to those names we've mentioned this week. Give me one that we haven't mentioned enough that's really got to make an impact or factor in, and it could run the gamut from a frontline guy like Darion Williams, somebody in a reserve category, or a role like Kerwin Walton or Kevin Overton. It could be a guy like Christian Anderson. Is there just somebody you want to kick out there and say, this has got to be a guy for the Red Raiders to be successful?
Based on what they did in their last game, everybody's going to expect Darion Williams and JT Toppin to play well, or to get a lot of attention defensively. And so this is going to, I mean, and I've well stated on what my thoughts are about Elijah Hawkins. I saw somebody actually sent you and I something and said, and they ranked the point guards left in the Sweet 16. And Texas Tech's Elijah Hawkins was ranked, I think, 13th out of the 16 remaining point guards. And I know there's some really good players out there. Walter Clayton Jr. for Florida, watched him, and they're like in the press conference setting yesterday. And there's a lot of good point guards left in the deal. I'm almost offended that somebody would think Elijah Hawkins was 13th out of 16 teams. And so nobody around the Tech camp is gonna speak up and say anything about something silly like that. But I took offense to it. He will play really well tonight. He will control the pace, and if you advance, he will have a huge reason why. But I do think that this, so you can kind of pick it here, and we'll go with our guy C4. Uh, Bang bang. I just it's not going to continue to be a 2 for 9 world with him, man. It just isn't. So I hope that they play off of him, or they sleep on him, or think that he's too young for this, whatever, when these lights are bright. I mean, I hope that is indeed the case, but he is that X factor. He's a margins guy. These games are all so close, but when he like comes into the game, typically it's just, now he's been a starting role in these last couple of games, but it's just like you're like, oh yeah, he's coming in. Like, oh my gosh, it feels so good. It's like the snickerdoodle cookie, right? It's just it creates a higher ceiling when he plays well, and he's just, I don't want to say he's due, but he will affect this game much more, I think, tonight than he did in Wichita. I'm betting on the young man and his skill set. I don't see 3 in a row. Not that he played poorly, he just didn't shoot it particularly well. But I bet he's feeling better, and yeah. So I would go Elijah and Christian Anderson would be my guys. Yes,
would I think certainly be a recipe for some success. So hopefully we see that happen, and we see a lot of good things happen for the good guys. Chris, enjoy the ball game. We'll get with you on the other side to chop it up one way or another, and process what we see between Red Raiders and Razorbacks. And maybe we're talking about pursuit of an Elite Eight. Maybe we're talking about pursuit of a Final Four. Maybe we're talking about a well of a party back in the great state if we can get these things done. So go on and spur them on, inspire them, and do what you do to help keep them staying alive.
You get me to the Alamo City, and these Texas Tech fans will burn that building to the ground with all of it, man. They will come in guns a-blazing, and I would only hope to be a part of that if that comes to fruition. So, but you got 80 minutes, you got 40 tonight, and they will not be easy. Neither would Saturday if you get that far. But these are fun. We'll keep previewing games and talking this thing until we run out of time. We won't lose. We'll just run out of time, right? But hope to see everybody tonight at the Chase Center, man. And enjoyed it, Cowan.
Isn't that an Aggie line? I just felt like I threw it in my mouth a little bit. I swear, I used to hear that down around about Bryan College Station. I swear. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some fact checking on that. Stay tuned for an upcoming episode.
If so, my apologies.
We'll see if we can authorize that line or not.
It's this driverless ride I was in. I feel my mind's all jacked up.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
All right, we need more sleep, but we sleep in May. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for being out there. Appreciate you, and get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the everydayers and the Matador Mob. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with the one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.